What is going on, guys of YouTube? It is Swag on Zero, and we are back for a little tiny segment of the Nerdgasm Talk podcast. You probably never heard of Nerdgasm Talk podcast. If not, why are you here? You need to check it out. Go check it out on your favorite podcast application, such as Spotify. I already knew you was going to come at me. Such as Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that jazz. We're going to be talking about the Switch Pro, and I thought, why not bring the Switch advocate to this segment of the show, Mr. A&E. First of all, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you joining us.
Well, for anybody out there, I join every week on the Nerdgasm Talk podcast. So this is just a live segment, guys. It's like us testing out how it looks on live. If you guys like it, we can see if we can do more of these in the future. Okay, yes, that's all Swag had to say. You know what I'm saying? But hey, we got news today. As Nintendo, they didn't want to drop nothing at E3. They didn't want to drop nothing during the Direct. They said, you know what? It's Tuesday. Sure. Why not drop something? And we're going to drop an announcement trailer for the new Nintendo Switch OLED, or the OLED. Not a Pro. Okay, so everybody out there saying it's the Switch Pro. It's not the Switch Pro. Okay?
At all. It's the Switch Amateur.
That's it. Yeah, so that's the news that they dropped today. And internet has a lot of words they need to say, and I have a couple of things I need to say about it as well.
No, right.
I already knew when the trailer came up. I was just looking at this thing like Swag has nothing nice to say. So I was like, it's cool. I know I had to come and defend myself. I know Q-Flow will, he'd be like hating on it high key, but low key want that shit. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll just go out here.
Q is the person.
John Lewis and step right in front of the line. So.
Q is the person that will hate something out loud, but in secret he will get it and let nobody know. Such as the Xbox. I remember he got it. I was like, what you doing with it? He's like, oh, I just got it from mods, I just got it from But I know you have your reaction up on the channel. If you have not seen it, check it out on Nerdgasm Nerd Coalition Studios channel. Make sure you check it out there. So, explain
Go ahead. I apologize.
I was going to ask, how did you feel about it?
So, when I seen the thumbnail, right, I was hyped. Because, let's be real. I was like, Pro, first of all, I'm going to tell you a little backstory, okay? I am a huge Nintendo Switch guy, okay? And I have been playing handhelds my whole life. And with my situation that I had, with kids and being married, and I just don't have time to be able to. I don't have the privilege like Swag does to play his PS5 whenever he wants to. So handhelds are my life. And by the way, Swag and my friends from the Nerd Coalition got me my first Nintendo Switch.
Yep.
And then on my birthday, the year I got married, so I was excited. Okay, so that was just like back-to-back gifts, and then so I'm a huge Switch fan because you guys see right here. This is my Nintendo Switch with my Evo Joy docks that I was using to play Smash Bros. But just not too long ago. And then I have my Switch Lite.
Yeah.
Yes, that's my shirt actually. I got my Switch Lite. So of course I was just like, I'm just waiting for. So the only Switch I don't have is the one with the extended battery life. I thought that was a waste. They said it's gonna give us the same batteries of light. I'm like, why even bother that shit? That was more stupid than me. So when I saw this, I was excited. So I was going in there, and it was like when I watched, I was like, okay, it's giving me so far everything that I thought it was going to give, and then something just happened, and it was just like the commercial was doing this, and it was like right here is the bare minimum. We stopping. And we stop, and I'm just like, where's the rest of it? That's how I felt when I was watching, because a lot of people don't understand, or they probably do, but it's clouded with being angry. It's kind of like the Ben Simmons thing right now. It's like, we all angry at Ben Simmons here in Philly. We all want to get traded, but then as the things calm down, they realize they're like, damn, we can't get another player to trade it for good as Ben Simmons. Right. That's where we're at right now. I'm like, first of all, the Switch needs a bigger screen in the first place. Okay, and
it's called a TV.
The way I was looking at this is that this OLED Switch that's coming out should have been what the updated battery switch should have been. Mm-hmm. That's what it should have been.
Should have been the first switch to come out.
That's not how business works. That's how not marketing works. You know that's not how marketing works, okay? You're never going to get the full...
No. That's not how Nintendo marketing works.
Oh, come on. So, PS3 did the same thing? All the things that they made with PS3, you could do at the beginning, but they wanted at least the fat boy, and it just started burning out on everybody.
PS3 updated technology as going, like, throughout the times. As technology got better, they updated. Whereas the Switch, the technology is already updated. You just chose not to use it.
Here's the thing. I think a lot of you have warned Nintendo fans that they're gonna let you down. But see, the difference between those Nintendo fans and myself is that, guys, it's Nintendo. Nintendo is not going to compete with Sony and Microsoft on the gaming experience of the 4K TV experience. They're just not going to compete with them on that. They weren't meant to. It's Nintendo. Nintendo's always been that family system before the PlayStation and the Xbox has. So my expectations sometimes are a bit low. What I was disappointed about is like, okay, because this is what I'm really disappointed about. I felt as though that with this new trailer, that this Switch helps benefit players like myself as a handheld, opposed to players like you who play on the TV. Right. And that's not fair. It felt as though like we'll just help out the handheld market, but not the TV market, and that's just not fair. And the thing has been out for 5 years now, almost 5 years, and they have not once addressed certain problems, especially when it comes to stuff for people who like to play in dock mode. And those are things right there to me are very unfair about it. And I look at like I love that they're going to do the big screen, but I'm like, my question is, are we going to fix Joy-Con drifting? Because people got their problems. It's not a myth. It's not like people think about COVID. It's out here, okay?
Right?
And they have yet to say. All they said was, "We'll replace it for free." But I'm like, but can y'all fix it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They haven't addressed that. One of my biggest things is the kickstand.
I'm glad. That's the most impressive thing that they've done on this thing. I was like, the kickstand should have been fixed. How flimsy that thing is.
Exactly.
It's horrible.
And I used to bring my Switch over to my mother-in-law's house or barbecues and stuff like that, so people could play the Switch. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I put it in that little tabletop mode, and then the thing just snapped off. It'll keep falling. I'm like, no, I'm not bringing my Switch out here in these conditions.
Right.
So now it has that. Don't look sturdy. And I'm like, that looks great. I like. First of all, I like the whole color of the dock now. The like the white. It kind of like brings up the date because that black one looked dated.
Right.
And it just never looked great. I'm happy that they're putting an Ethernet cord on there, but everybody don't. I mean, if you have internet, it's like, okay, do I want to leave my Switch out there and put the Ethernet cord in there? I mean, it should be able. Your netcode should be able to work good on Wi-Fi.
Nintendo needs to fix their internet before they even think about putting the Ethernet cord in there to begin with.
So, I mean, is it good that they made those adjustments? Fine, but there's still more. It's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a shotgun. It's just not going to do anything.
Right.
You know, because like I said, I don't play my Switch and dock on TV on that. I've had to go downstairs and keep it right there to play it online. But I'm like, I'm on the move.
Right.
That don't benefit me at all.
Right.
And those are most of the things that they talked about in just the announcement trailer. It wasn't too much of like other questions that I have to go on. I was like, is it going to have 4K support, or is there going to be some type of 1080p, some type of support to make some kind of a difference? Is it going to come with a bonus Joy-Con that's a D-pad for people who play fighting games like myself?
Right.
Because if you're going to add an additional $50 to this price tag, I think you should get $50 worth your money. Like, why not put this is right here is my Switch D-pad Joy-Con,
right?
Which I switch over when I play Mortal Kombat or Power Rangers or Street Fighter or any kind of games like that requires, the D-pad. It makes it so much easier. Like Smash Brothers is all analog anyway.
Yep.
So you know that's not good with it. But when I play fighting games, so I would say why not add an additional Joy-Con in there, for the extra $50 price range. Why not upgrade the 1080p or 4K on in dock mode? I figured that they would try to make the dock a little bit smaller, but then that means you'll probably make the Switch smaller, and you kind of don't want that,
right?
But this is everything of what I'm seeing is kind of should have been what the update should have been when it comes to the longer battery life.
Right.
That's what this Switch should have been.
My issue with it is that I feel like if this was supposed to replace the natural models of the Switch that we already have out, one, it should not be a higher price, because I don't feel like we're getting a healthy amount of something new in it. I feel like the Ethernet cord should have been in there. Like Xbox 360 had an Ethernet cord right off launch. And internet is a good portion of what the Switch has, because you have games like Mario Kart requires that you need online to play with other people. You have games like Smash Bros, which is a huge scene. You have games like Splatoon, especially if you have leagues with these games in there and you try to have tournaments with them. You're going to need to face your core audience that has that needs internet requirements for that. So I feel like that should have came right off the bat. Also, an OLED screen, but you're still 720p. It's like you're taking one step forward but 10 steps back. You're updating the screen, but you're not updating the quality that the games are going to be outputted in. Now, I've said this before. I feel like if you're going to have a Switch Pro, probably the best way to do it, yes, have an OLED screen, but put a have a dock where it will upscale that quality. Like, you'll have the games in 4K now. When you put it in the dock and have it streamed to your TV, have it a lot better to actually try to compete with it. Because I know you're saying they're not trying to compete with it, but bigger games are coming out for the Switch, and I feel like if they wouldn't be coming out the Switch if the Switch wasn't trying to compete with that audience whatsoever, or try to attract that audience.
A lot of third-party games are coming out for the Switch because the Switch is selling, and because certain third-party titles took a chance, and it was just like, cause see, I remember me being in the PSP community and me being in the PS Vita community. It feels so good when you can get those third party cool games on the go with you. I love playing Uncharted on the road.
Right.
I love playing Crash Bandicoot on the road. You know what I'm saying? I love playing Batman on the go. Now, of course, it wasn't, obvious when it comes to at least the Batman, it wasn't, obviously like the Arkham series, but it was still a cool game.
Right.
And I was like, I love having that experience on the go. Then when the Switch first came out, it's just like, okay, we know when it comes to Nintendo, a lot of third party support, like when it comes to the Nintendo 3DS,
right,
or the 3DS XL. A lot of companies, the third-party companies, didn't support that system because it wasn't doing anything for them. And it was just stick to the consoles. But now, since the Switch has been selling, and especially last year when before the PS5 came out, during COVID, during the pandemic, because everybody's home,
right,
you couldn't find a Switch anywhere.
Right.
I hate to say it this way, but the pandemic even helped its prices. It helped the sales go up.
Right.
So, when third-party companies see that, or like when NetherRealm Studios decide, let's put Mortal Kombat back on the handheld, because we haven't had a Mortal Kombat on the handheld since MKA, and MKA is Mortal Kombat Advance, which is on the game.
I haven't heard of that one. I thought he was talking about Annihilation.
No, oh hell no. Mortal Kombat Advance was like Mortal Kombat 3 ported on Game Boy Advance. And that was the last Mortal Kombat game we had on handheld. So when they put Mortal Kombat 11 and they see how great that Mortal Kombat 11 sold, and then they start seeing how great other games have sold, and even puts people things like Saints Row on the Switch, which is obviously not Grand Theft Auto, but it plays like Grand Theft Auto, and it's just in a more weirder way. And they're like, that can support it, and they're doing things like The Witcher. It's more so like, hey, you want to play things on the go, there is a huge handheld market out there. If you want to play those kind of things on the go where you're not confined to your home, that's going to help it sell. Which I'm not saying that's a good technique to always use, because you always want to get bigger and better, especially when you see the PS5 coming out,
right?
You see the Xbox Series X. But they know that when it comes to graphics, when it comes to the way the game looks, they can't compete with that.
Right.
Nintendo will never probably compete with that unless they make a full-on console system like GameCube. But even then, that has never been Nintendo style. That's just never been their swag about them. So that even when N64 and PlayStation and Xbox was coming out, their graphics was always different. They always had the more family friendly content opposed to the more serious stuff. But now, since again that third party support, I think all they see is that they're selling systems. And if they selling the systems, that's all they necessarily care about. Because here's the thing that's going to happen: people are going to line up and buy this OLED system.
Yeah,
they're angry right now because it ain't the Pro.
Right.
They're angry right now because everybody is telling them, "I told you so." You know what I'm saying? So they're dealing with that right now. But guess what? Tomorrow they're gonna go to GameStop, or they probably went already tonight and said, "Hey, I want to put that, the Nintendo OLED system on reserve. Put my $100 down, and then call it a day." And they'll go back. Because I'll be honest with you, I want a new Switch. I want that kickstand. I want that bigger screen. I want better battery life. I just wasn't going to get the one that had just the battery life. Now,
right.
Do I think it's going to be a Switch Pro? I doubt it. I think this is going to be it until Nintendo decides to come with a new system. But me personally, I don't know if they're going to top what they did with the Switch.
We thought the same thing about the Wii, and somehow they made this system.
Wii U.
I'm not counting the Wii U. I'm not counting the Wii U whatsoever. But yeah, we thought the same thing with the Wii. It was like, how can they top this? And Nintendo does find a way to top themselves and make themselves creative honestly, every single time.
Unpopular opinion here. I thought the Wii was a step back from GameCube.
Really?
Because see, the thing is, it depends on. Like I said, I have the unpopular opinion. The Wii was motion, so everybody's like, doing motion control stuff like that. I'm like, look, I grew up in the 90s. I know about virtual, VR,
right?
Virtual reality. I know about that. And it's like, okay, it makes you move, and it has all those kind of cool games that you can do interaction stuff with. And I'm like, but
I want to sit down and
that stick, I want a game,
right?
And I'm like, this stick is not a controller,
right?
And then the games they had on there, I'm just like, okay, well, I'd rather go back and playing GameCube, because when they started the Wii at first, like, where's all the? Because I'm big into third-party games. Where are all the third-party games at? And I was like, I couldn't find them. I was like, and I damn sure want to play them with this. And then when I went to college, somebody had their Wii, and I tried Melee, and that's when I retired. No, not Melee. Excuse
Brawl.
me.
Brawl.
Brawl came out.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, Brawl.
Yeah. And I was just like, no, I can't even. Yeah, I said, I can't. How y'all playing on this? Like, no, this is not my life. So, I always had the unpopular opinion. Like, I thought step back because I more enjoyed the console gaming of it. And then when the Switch came out, it's like, oh, I got a handheld, which Nintendo excels at, and it's going back to their console systems as well. You actually sit down and play, and you have like a Wii within it by using the Joy-Cons.
Right.
So they're all three of things in one. Now,
I like that you brought up the Wii, because the Wii did sell like crazy, just like the Switch did.
Oh, it was great.
However, that third
unpopular.
No. I'm not saying. I'm talking about the point where you brought up third parties coming into that. Where do you think that differed from the Switch from the Wii? Because you had Switch selling out like crazy. You had Switches selling out like crazy. So and now third parties want to hop on the Switch. What makes you think that third parties didn't want to hop on the Wii? You think because it was too different? One, the motion controls, they thought that it was like mostly motion controls instead of immersive in games?
I think in my opinion, because I know I'm gonna be wrong about this, so I put my hand about that now. I think when it came to the Wii, if I'm a third party game developer and I'm looking at the Wii, I'm like, my game is like if I'm somebody doing Hitman, my game is going to suffer on this console. One, because I gotta create a motion control because it's the Wii. I gotta recreate it differently. Then I have to try to make it fit that Wii audience, and then they're probably going to down my graphics. One of the biggest examples of that is when they did the Ghostbusters game. And you saw how the Ghostbusters game looked on PS3 and Xbox 360.
Right.
But have you seen what it looked like on the Wii?
Yeah.
I was like, this is the same game?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it took a hit, like a big hit from that. And I was like, oh, that's not what I want.
Right.
And like I said, the Wii's so crazy because the Wii was doing, before that PlayStation microphone or experience came out, or the thing with the Xbox, the Wii did it first. Nintendo did it first. And that's why it sold. But when I just look at the Wii and the things that it does, I was just like, man, the amount of stuff that has to be changed, and I don't know if my game is going to suffer by being on there. Opposed to the Switch, when they put the third party on it, they try to make it as close as to the console as possible, because you kind of have the same console experience, opposed to if you're playing on tabletop mode, or with some kind of Joy-Cons. They kind of switched up a little bit like that, but they try to make it as close as possible. Now, once again, you're the bigger gamer than I am, so I can't. It's hard for me to compare certain. I don't even know the games that I play.
Right.
Yeah, I know that they will try. It's kind of like when I played Mortal Kombat 11. I was like, oh my god, this is a breath of fresh air, because every time Mortal Kombat goes, ask anybody who plays Mortal Kombat. Any Mortal Kombat game that goes handheld, they just do this to the game and just cuts. Push that off, and there you go. This was the one to the point where after I jumped off the PlayStation, I played on it. And I was like, oh man, the moves are still the same. Oh man, I mean, of course the graphics are going to take a hit, but you know what didn't take a hit? Frame rate. And I thought that was great, because the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance versions, oh my god, the frame rate be like this when you try to fight, and it'd be so stiff.
Right.
I'm like, okay, this is just a completely different game, but it felt so when it kept it so close to the system, obviously the graphics were going to take a hit, and for somebody like me, that didn't bother me as much.
Gotcha.
And I think with the success of something as big and as, because first of all, nobody thought they was going to put Mortal Kombat on Nintendo, especially as gory as it has gotten over the years.
Right.
I really think that was one of, and there was another game I'm trying to think of that came out back in like 2019 or something like that really helped take the Switch over when it came to third party stuff. But I think Mortal Kombat was one of, not the only, but one of the stepping stones that helped put trust in third parties to put this stuff over on the Switch.
Gotcha. But yeah, I did want to get your opinion. We're gonna have a lot more discussion when we do have the podcast, so make sure you check us out. But thank you, Mr. A&E, for your opinions. I just wanted to get some more clarification. I do want to do more research on the Wii, so we could have a little comparison, because I did like that topic that you brought up about that.
Yeah. Oh, I was about to talk about that. And yes, I will be honored. I will be a fool. I put my arms out, let everybody know that I do plan, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, to check out and buy the new Switch, because I want something bigger than I don't want this whole black thing to go around my screen. I want my screen extra wide. I don't want this little flap right here. See, I don't want that anymore. So it's okay. Look, I have been alone most of my life when it comes to these games. Okay, I understand. You laughed at me when I played the Vita, and I played it in front of you anyway.
I said the Vita was a great system.
No, you
said I said, why are you playing that in the year of our Lord and Savior 2019? Like,
it wasn't 2019. It was early 2018. Got me the Switch. I was like, well, hey, I still love my Vita.
Yeah, the Vita's a great system. It's just nothing came out for it. I'll say that to this day. Nothing came out for it. And
they gave up on it way too
easy. It did, because that was really that was before its time. It was really before its time. But yes, if you guys want to check us out, make sure you listen to the Nerdgasm Talk podcast. Again, you can find it on your favorite podcast applications such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, all of those podcasts. But you can also check us out on the Nerd Coalition Studios channel. Make sure you subscribe to that, as well as the Nerd Coalition Level Up channel where you're watching this now. Thank you again, Mr. A&E, for joining us. I am Swag on Zero, and you guys, we'll see you on the next level.